4 present.
I can't get on.
Mayor Laura,
Present.
Vice Mayor Parsons,
Present.
Commissioner Lindenbroker,
Present.
Commissioner Vasquez,
Here.
Commissioner Warren.
Here.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation. We don't have a pastor today.
Here,
Who would like to do it?
you want me to do it?
Sure. Ron will do it.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day that you've given us, that we can gather here and represent our community, and we ask that you be with each of those that are here and everyone that is in our community, and give us wisdom as we do the city's business, and be with each of us as we leave here tonight, and as we look forward to the season, that let's make it a good, prosperous year for everyone, and we are thankful for that, and we just ask, like I say, that you be with us tonight when we leave. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 1, awards, proclamations, and presentations. 2023 Employee Service Awards. All right. We will be doing the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 40-year employment service awards. Angelica, if you could step forward. We'll start with the 10 years. Israel Nievas from the Police Department. Andrew Williams from the Parks Department.
Thank you.
15-year service awards. He is not here today. Warren Hedrick from the Fire Department. Sorry. Elivario Navarrete from the Street Department. Seems like he is not here today as well. Jeremiah Potter from the Street Department. Hiram Gutierrez from Municipal Court. Jose Rosales from the Water Department. Tim Lunsford from the IT Department. Moving on to the 20-year service. Santiago Cardosa from Solid Waste Department. And Jose Torres from the Fire Department. Fidel Barbosa from the Cemetery Department. Moving on to 25 years of service, Melissa Cowan from the Utility Billing Department. And moving on to 30 years of service, Kimberly Klinkenbeard from the Municipal Court. Not present will be Skiddy Polton from the Fire Department. And then that gets us to our 40 years of service, Kitty Bond from the Police Department. And as a memorable mention, she will be retiring early next year. Thank you for all your years of service.
Thank you.
And we also have one of our other members show up. Give us a minute.
And he is for 15 years.
As always, thank you all very much for everything you do. The city wouldn't run without the employees. At this, we up here are the least important. It's you guys who actually make things happen and make this city run. So thank you all for all your years of service. This time, do we want to take any pictures with anybody else or them all up? Do we just move on? Move on? Okay, at this time, we'll move on to item number 2, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lindbroker and a second by Commissioner Warren.
Now we need to log in, log back out, or log out, and log back in.
Just 1 second. I'm letting them clear out and train too.
Everyone cast your vote. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 3, the minutes.
Make a motion, we approve the November 28th, 2023 regular meeting minutes as printed.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Lindbroker and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Seeing none, cast your vote. I swear I just did that. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 4, items from citizens. Are there any items from citizens? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5, items from groups. Are there any items from groups? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 6, the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Lindbroker. Any further discussion? Seeing none, cast your vote. Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item number 7, SCDC update.
Good evening, Commissioners. I do want to say I did not have an opportunity to prepare my document in time to get it sent out to you ahead of time. However, I have it now if you would like a hard copy of what I'm about to talk about. Is that good? All right.
I'll let you slide this time.
Take me back to my teacher days.
Eli. Thank you.
So I wanted to take an opportunity to just kind of look back over 2023. I know this came up in several of the commission forums early on with the candidacies and stuff, just making sure we have a good idea of kind of what we do at the Development Corporation, but also to give you some knowledge and some power when you're out in the community, because people love to talk about different things that are either happening or people have whispered about potentially happening or maybe never even going to happen, but you know how people love to talk. So here's an opportunity to just kind of look at what we've been doing at the Development Corporation over the last year. So we're going to talk about industrial projects, some small business projects, and a few of the others that we've worked on, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we plan to do in 2024 as well. So on the first year, just to give you kind of an idea, we've worked about 34 different leads for industrial projects. That includes expansion of local industry and potential RFPs or RFIs with companies outside of Liberal. Currently, we have 9 of those that are active. So what we do is every quarter we kind of roll any projects that either we are still working on or we're still communicating with, we keep in that active project. But there are a number that for whatever reason, whether that project is completed, gets rolled out, or as is more often the case in this field, they just go on radio silence. We might have an industry call, we might have 2 or 3 calls with a particular company, and then whatever the markets are saying or whatever their direction goes, we just lose contact with them. So over the course of the year, we've had, as I said, about 34 with 9 actives right now. The potential capital expenditure is massive. Don't get too excited. Some of those are still multiple years out. Those are early conversations, but I wanted to give you an idea of kind of where we are on that scale. So industrial projects are there. I don't want to list off any particular names of businesses, but that's kind of on the industrial side, that activity. Most of where that comes from is local growth. 80% of new jobs are from local industry expansion and growth rather than new projects coming to town. So that's good to see that we have a good industrial base here, and a lot of those companies are looking to grow and expand right now. On the small business side, we've had a very active year with new business growth, and small business is really referring to anything more kind of locally or organically grown on that small business side. Technically, the definition of small business is anything under 500 employees, so really everything but one business in town qualifies for that. You'll see the first number there, a little over $300,000 in loans and grants to new businesses or business expansions. Those funds are provided by an organization called Network Kansas. We are the group then that prepares those businesses, works with those grant and loan documents, and then approves those loan documents for our local businesses to use here. In most cases, these don't require any sort of matching funds. They are a new kind of Empower Loan Fund, which we get to work with as one of only 4 communities in the state of Kansas. But you'll see over $300,000 going out to 22 different businesses for that. We have a significant number of additional applications in the pipeline for those, and we anticipate those getting approved within the next few weeks, which is exciting. It's really hard to gauge the exact number of small businesses that we've worked with. I put 50 plus down there. We had in our records 48 that had multiple contact points with. Sometimes people come in and talk to us for a couple of minutes and then they never come back. It's just one of those things. It's hard to be an entrepreneur. It's hard to get over that hurdle of I've got an idea and putting it into action. But we have a lot of touch points there with that. 28 new businesses that we worked with to kind of help launch or expand this year. And then 18 current entrepreneurs that we have that we're either working with local business plans or grant applications on that front. There is a significant opportunity in retail and franchise development coming in the next year with somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 million in potential expansion and growth for that. So that's exciting opportunities. That one is the one that's extremely fun to watch. I personally am not on Facebook, but it sounds like there are a lot of different rumors and ideas going out there, and it's really fun to hear all the different things that people think are maybe coming to town or would love to see come to town. So if anybody is sitting on a couple $1 million and wants to put in a Chick-fil-A, I would be happy to talk, and we could try to figure that out. A couple of other additional projects. The Kansas Leadership Center did the Heartland Together, working on the entrepreneurial ecosystem in town. Through that, we had several small business projects as a result, one of which that we're really launching right now is a new kind of streamlined process for people who are starting a business or expanding a business in town, so that they can have a clear step-by-step of, you go here for this, you go here to do this, here's where you can find information on that. The building department at the city did a really nice spreadsheet layout and flow map of exactly what you need to do and where you need to go if you're planning to do any sort of construction project. And hopefully that will streamline that so that as businesses launch, it's not so much of a back and forth, but just here's your step-by-step process through all of that. And then we did oversee the Food Truck Saturdays events, which brought in a significant number of people. That will transition next year to another organization overseeing that, but we were excited to see how much that brought. Before I transition to 2024, any questions about industrial small growth or any of the other businesses that we worked with over the last year? Okay, in 2024, same categories. Really what we want to focus on for industrial side is being more prepared for industrial opportunities. There are companies looking right now, despite what the economy is doing. We have a lot of companies looking to move into the area. But one of the things we've come across that we are not alone in, every community that I've reached out to faces the same challenge, is that when you are talking to these businesses and they want to find a particular property and they want a map that has everything on there, all your utilities, all of the information, they don't exist. And so we had a good meeting today with our local utility companies. City was there, county was there, just talking about, at least for our industrial parks, having those maps ready. Because right now, if I'm sending this off to a company out of state, I have to send 5 different maps, and I'll be honest, it's a little embarrassing to be like, I'm sorry, here, flip through all of these. Again, we are not alone as a community, but we are working locally to be able to provide that in a very cohesive format so that it's ready, it looks professional, they have all the information that they need. Second will be a business retention and expansion survey. As I mentioned that, 80% of those new jobs come from existing, so we want to make sure that those companies that are looking to expand right now know of the programs that are available ahead of time so that we can make sure that they have access to all of that knowledge and information, and we can streamline that for them, whether that's local incentives or statewide and regional incentives. And then the Certified Sites program, we currently have 1 certified site in the community. We're looking to expand that and include the industrial parks for the city. What that means as a certified site is that you've done all of the due diligence ahead of time. Environmentals are done, all of the maps are prepared, everything you need to know about that property to be shovel ready is already finished, so that if we have a company that comes in and they say, we want 160 acres and we want it in 3 months, we've done what we need to do ahead of time. And so we're working right now with Sunflower Electric, which has a program for site certification, as well as Department of Commerce to expand on those. For small businesses, we're working with, again, Network Kansas on Grow Kansas funds. These are additional federal dollars that can be used for small business loans. We were prepared to be able to approve those locally. Network Kansas has put a stop on that statewide, so we work with Dodge City and Great Plains Development on those right now. We have 4 local businesses right now with expansion projects that are going to utilize those Grow Kansas funds, so we're excited to see how those work in our community. The business launch process, as I talked about, we just finished out that web presence for that, and so really now it's about marketing and getting that information out there so people know that this resource is available to them. Co-Starters is a new entrepreneurship program that we're utilizing some Kauffman Foundation funds for that will help for businesses in that kind of growth phase for them. How do you go from maybe 1 or 2 employees to now 5 to 10 employees? And so we're looking to launch our first cohort of that in the spring. And then this last year, we partnered with Kansas Small Business Development Center to be the hub for that in this region. We actually serve 6 Southwest Kansas counties with our resources for that, but we're excited to see how that grows. In Southwest Kansas, the previous year, they only had 8 clients in the entire Southwest region. As you can see from the previous page, we've done a pretty good job of beating those numbers that first year. So we're excited for that partnership. They do provide additional funding to our office for those resources. And then a few other key focus areas. One is that transportation component. We had a lot of great momentum at the KDOT local consults. We want to continue that, especially looking at that Spirit group that was so instrumental over decades. It's now about rebuilding those bridges with those communities, not only in Kansas, but also in Oklahoma and Texas, to make sure that when the federal opportunities come out for these cohorts and for these grants, we have resources in Stratford or in Amarillo that will support us as we push for 54 expansion as well. And then on the housing side, we've had a lot of great meetings over the last year with a lot of great housing developers. And while we have some local housing projects going on right now, as you all know, it's just not enough and not fast enough. And so it's about making connections with the right people to get the right developers in here, to get a full gamut of new housing options for everyone on the spectrum. And it's interesting. I was in a meeting today with somebody who has some family when they build apartments in another state, and they might just be convinced to come this way. So hopefully we can talk to them about that and show them that there really is an opportunity here for more housing. So any questions about where we plan to go then in 2024? Well,
Yeah, we'll make it easy on you.
I see that. So, all right. Well, I'll be back in a few months with an update on that. But if you don't mind, I'm going to slip out to a Lions Club pancake feed right now. And get some free
Thank you
pancakes.
for this.
Thank
We really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Get that Chick-fil-A in here.
Moving on to item number 8, the wastewater rates.
Mayor and Council, I'm Pete Earls with Earls Engineering and current city engineer for the city of Liberal. Back in 21 or 22 and the beginning of 23, Chris Ford and I put together a sewer rate study and a water rate study. The water rates and sewer rates are currently set to go up 3% per year. And in the water rate study, it showed that that was adequate. We didn't have a problem in the water side. The sewer side, however, is another story. I'm just gonna start with this. This is what, if we do nothing, just leave the 3%, this is where we're at. I'll go through this with you all momentarily. One hand
Thank you.
here. Doesn't wanna come off again. Oops, that one you can't have. Oh. Yeah, that one you can have. Ran short. Man.
It's okay. I think I've got it on here.
Okay. First of all, what you need to understand is the sewer rates come about by figuring the water on the 3 winter months. And that's why you see that the new water rates actually go into, or excuse me, sewer rates go into effect April 1st of the following year. So in this case, the rates would change in April 1st of '24. What you look at is if you look at the bottom line, well, first let's go up to the top. See the revenue, and you come down, you see fund balance appropriation. That's what was end of the current or the previous year's fund. So if in 23, we still had 1.182 million in the account. So that's applies from 22 into 23. And so then you see an income of $5 million plus dollars. You go on down, you'll see the total expenditures for that year of 23 of 3.7, leaving you 1.3 million. So in 24, you bring that back up, you see that jumps you to 5.2. But the difference is, if you look at the principal and interest down at the very bottom of the expenditures, in 21, 22, and 23, you'll note the amount of principal paid was basically $200,000. And the interest went, you see, from basically $372,000 to $790,000. That's when the wastewater treatment plant kicked on. What you need to understand about the loan is the loan was for, it started back when we did the school project. So that gravity main, pump station, force main, and the overall collector main that went all the way across town, all the way over to 83, was all part of this same loan. And so you see payments were being made early on That's because that project was done before the treatment plant was actually put on, but it's all one loan. And so then in 23, you see that jumps in the interest, but they weren't paying the principal. So then in 24, the principal starts coming due, and you see it jumps from 200,000 to 2.3 million. And so then if what you have before you is if we just did the 3% only each year, and you can see in 24, we lose $312,000. Well, that jumps up into 25, and so suddenly you're in the hole of 1.7 million, and it continues to go in the hole from that point on. So what we started to look at is what are our options? And there's basically three things that we looked at. One, you can transfer some funds in from water. Two, you can add a straight dollar amount to each bill, calling it, sorry, Pete. Calling it the sewer plant payoff rate, and of course, we can change the percent of increase. Excuse me. You can do any or all three of those. And so what I'm gonna do is just kind of show you some various options to come up with that. What we have on this one is a combination of those. Let me pull it up. Is that the one I gave you? The 883? Yeah. So what I did on this one was, if you look at the expenditures in red, you'll see fund transfers. I didn't do any fund transfer, but what I did was put a $10 surcharge on all the bills. That's figured based on 6,889 bills per month for a year, adds up to that $826,000. And then additionally, I raised the rates to 8% for 24, 25, and 26, and 27, so 4 in a row. And if you look down at the bottom, your balance, you see it's starting again in 23. You got that 1.3 million, then it drops to 652,000, 300,000, 220,000, and then finally we start coming back up in 17. On that continues to slightly grow until we get to 34, and then I take off the $10, and you see that at that point we're okay without that, based on the increases of the 3% after that. So that's one way to do it in order to obtain the funding that we need in order to pay off the loan. The loan is scheduled to come off in 2037. Excuse me, 2037, 3037, that'd be a while. So there's, and I've got several options we can look at. The, come on. I didn't print them all out, but we can look at them on your screens. The, you look on your screens, you can see, in this case, I looked at what would happen if we did a $300,000 transfer and only a $7 charge instead of a 10. Oops, I didn't get that corrected, but that's $7. That adds, that's where you get the 578,000. Then you can see the increase is 10,854 in order to again, not go negative in the sewer fund. And again, at the bottom line, you can see starting at 1.3 million in '23, drops to 760, 520, 460, and then 489, and drops back to 424, 539, just barely making it. Then it gets back to the 300s, and then back up to 500 and 800, and then I cut off the, again, I just wanted, in this case, $7 for 10 years. And I kept the fund transfer for the entire period. So, you know, there's a lot of different options to come up with this, to come down to how do we want to make up the difference. You can do a larger fund transfer, you can do a smaller rate, you can get rid of the straight rate, but then you're gonna have to increase the percentage increase in order to do that.
So Pete, I got a question for you,
Absolutely.
and maybe you said it and I was just looking at something else. The fund transfer comes in from what fund?
Probably end up coming out of the water department.
Okay, so you're looking at, well, right there, $1, 2, 3, 4+ million, over a period of years. I mean, can the water fund stand that sort of transfer?
Yeah, once they can't, they'll just, the water department, obviously, if we take that out of the water department, the amount that they're gonna have to do projects is gonna drop by that amount of money. They actually, and I should have brought that in for you to look at, but I'll email that to you guys, but the water fund is basically making a little over $1 million a year. The idea was to get to that point so that we could do water projects yearly or every other year in order to do that. But
Without
it
financing.
is what it is, I mean,
At that point, without financing?
correct, without financing. That was the idea when we bumped it to the 3%. The idea is to get to a point where we could be doing our water projects without having to borrow the money to do those. This is looking if we did not do any dollar charge, transferred 500,000, what would we have to do to the rates? And you can see that jumps to 15%, 13%, 8%, and 4% in order to come up so that we're not negative at the bottom line. So there is no right or wrong answer. I mean, I think the first thing to decide is, do you want to transfer some amount of money in order to reduce the amount that you have to raise the rates? We do have the money in the water. Jose's probably shooting me in the back at the moment, but you know, that's reality. If you don't want to do any transfers, then we got to look at how else are we going to get the funds, and that's either raising the rates considerably, either by percentage or a straight shot plus a percentage, or whatever your desire may be. And we don't need to decide tonight. I mostly wanted to get you some information and hopefully understand where we're coming from and why. We do need to make the decision probably after the first of the year in order to get it into the rates by April. Questions I can answer. There's a caveat there.
I was just sitting there thinking, I'd be interested in seeing a chart that has the $300,000 fund transfer with the $10 deal and staying at the 3%. Because you said any combination, right, that we feel like, so the 300,000 doesn't cost the taxpayers any money, it just costs us projects. So it goes into things that we're wanting to improve, but the $10 charge per deal costs each customer $120 a year then, right? is
Yes.
what you're saying. And then the percentage at the 3%, you're having to increase the percent.
You're saying
Oh,
3%?
well, your deal calculated
Don't
well.
increase it any more than 3% all the way across the board?
You got an Excel where it'll calculate why we put it in there then, huh?
Yep. So what you'll notice is that you go in the hole.
Okay, that's, so it doesn't
You
work.
can't do just 3%
We're gonna have to have a percentage
without doing
increase.
some kind of an increase.
Okay,
So yeah, that's the nice thing about a computer. You can play right away. So you can see we're still
you did 5%
in the hole.
for, instead of 8% then for the 4 years.
Okay.
Does that one get you out there?
So what I did there is 8% and then 5.
So we just increased it 2 years?
With a $10 fee and $300,000 transfers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still, you can't do 4% because you don't have enough money at the end. You still lose money.
Because
at
I was
very
thinking
end.
the 8% for 4 years in a row is really a pretty severe increase, I think.
Yeah, because that compounds.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, that's,
and
yeah, it's gonna
It's 8% of the
compound, and it's gonna
8%.
be
Yeah.
probably worse in the long run
So-
than the $10 fee.
So that's with the
Even
$10
for-
fee,
Yeah.
transferring 300,000, you'd have to go 8%, 6%, and then 3%, and you can see down at the bottom there, you end up, well, you're still negative 300,000 and 37.
Which is fine by that point. Hopefully, we have some more services coming online.
Well, and that's the other
ahead.
thing is that you can, the thing is, this is in Excel, so each year Chris sends me what's happening, the final year. So then I put in the real numbers for that year. And we can see then, hey, guys, we get closer out here, we need to jump that rate from 3% to whatever. But again, that's the advantage of Excel. If you come on and wanna
Or even
look at whatever, it's easy to make adjustments and quickly come up with that.
or do a bigger funds transfer 1 year or something.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, you said you're 300,000 short. I say 1 year you have to do a bigger funds transfer in that particular year. Only ran into it in 37, did you say, or when?
Yeah, that's out to 37, and so who knows where we're gonna be in 37. Like
Yeah.
you say, we may have some other industries in, we may have, other income that we don't know about between now and then.
Yeah, Rusty sent a message, just wants to remind everyone that we constantly review the sources every year, kind
That's
of like
right.
you're saying,
We
so.
go in there and we put in the correct number, because obviously, I'm just estimating what the increases will be based on previous years. And so each year we get the final numbers, we go back and put the right numbers in these spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are good if they add or subtract something for that year, then we can make the adjustments accordingly. But with that scenario, Ron, you'd be looking at an 8% in 24, a 6% in 25, and then doing the $10 for 10 years. So that's certainly a viable option with the $300,000 transfer.
Now, on these, the $10 charge per meter, is that all
Per
meters?
meter.
Is that all
Right.
meters, industrial meters? That's-
Well, right now, I just did straight.
Okay,
We can make adjustments by the number of meters that are commercial. If you want to change,
'Cause I-
do a higher fee for commercial
well,
than
commercial or
residential.
like apartment buildings, some apartment buildings have 1 meter. Well, the whole apartment complex is paying $10 when there has.
Some do
60
and
people.
some don't.
Yeah, I'm just saying there is some, I do know of 3, so. There's 10 families living there, they're getting a $10 charge, which the family 2 is also getting a $10 charge. It's kinda, you wanna make sure you play across the board fair, cause
Right, those are kind of things that.
There's not a
that
lot of money
we
going
can
around.
adjust based on, but it's not, the number of commercial versus residential is small. So you won't see a huge jump unless you're gonna make the commercial 10 times the residential. You're not gonna see but those things we can do. If you decide on a concept, we can break that down further with that and then play with the commercial and residential and schools and so on and so forth. I didn't do it at this point, but we certainly will do that before you make a final decision.
In fairness aside, wouldn't it be more fair to just do a percentage increase over the years and not that $10 fee, because then you're charging people that use it? Is that a true statement or not?
And that's,
I
you
don't
can
know,
do
I'm
that,
asking. I mean,
but that, yeah, the percentage increase goes up considerably.
Right.
Then you're looking at that 15%, for 2 or 3 years in a row. I think I had one of those actually.
I was just going back to what, I think that was what Chris said about the people that use it. If you have
Yeah, I
10
mean,
people in
you
one
got a big apartment
complex.
complex that's using 50 units, you get a $10
But you could
charge
do
on
that
it.
with usage and do that by breaking it down. You use up to this many, it's a $10 fee. If you use more this to this, it's a 20 a month. And if, you know, it's a large volume, maybe 30, but because the people I see affecting it the most, I mean, I'm not gonna notice it on my bill really, but there are still the elderly people on fixed incomes that when we start changing that bill, we affect them, and for them to pay $10 a month, and somebody that Yeah. uses 10 times as much water as them to pay $10 a month probably isn't fair.
Yeah, but I mean, what would be, so like your example, an elderly
But
couple,
like you
if
said,
up
the
their rates by
percentage.
15%, how much dollars is that actually a month? Probably not very much. Do we have what's our minimum fee? Is there a minimum fee?
If you look up at the top right now, you're looking at the rates of $18.59 for 3,000 gallons. And they say, currently the city average is 7,000 gallons at $43.52 as of April of '22. But, so if say you're only using 3,000 gallons, and, well, that was 23, I don't have the latest one, that would be 3% more than that. So it'd be about $19 for 3,000 gallons.
Okay, so if you went up,
It went up 20%.
it's $4 instead of $10.
And go ahead and include
Something to think about.
what, 300 or 500,000 water transfer?
Put a water transfer in there and see how low you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause we have a lot of people that are living paycheck to paycheck.
So it'd be something like that, you'd have to jump at 25%, then 20% in order to come up out of the hole. You're still in the hole 1 year, only about $20,000.
But what's our increase if we were to do water transfers as well?
How much transfer?
Let's do 300?
The 300,000?
Yeah. Is that the comfortable amount for you guys?
Oops.
For how many years? Every year? Just 1 year?
Every year.
Are you gonna see a decrease in water revenue with?
Well, that's, yeah, I would imagine you'd see maybe some.
Well, you have to understand that your loan water and all that doesn't come into play
Right.
unless you're watering in the middle of winter.
Right.
So
Because of our evaluation.
it's pretty hard, I mean, to reduce the water going to the sewer, I don't know how you do that. I mean, stop using the toilet, I guess, but So in reality, you're not gonna see that kind of a thing. It's not like the water rates where people say, oh, I'm not watering anymore because my rate is so high. In the sewer, it has nothing to do with watering your lawn or anything else. That's why we do it in the 3 months of winter. Most people don't water the lawns at that time of the year. Some do, but most don't.
I thought we also,
Couple.
we reduced our, period that we measure now.
We have.
Seems like every year we come in February and ask you to stop it because it's been so dry. And we usually do December, January, February.
And we end up just doing December and January.
That'd be up to you.
I think I watered some in November. I don't know, it hasn't been that long since I said, wow. Well, it didn't freeze early this year either, though, really,
Yeah.
so.
So the 300,000 transfer for basically 10 years, just quick and dirty, you're looking at 18, 15, 10. No, it should be 3.
It's 43% increase over
You can see
3 years.
you're low, but you're in the
How's it go?
positive. So
We're having to come up with $2 million in 1 year.
that would be no
You get
no
another,
surcharge, just an increase in rates.
and you get another 400,000 if you did $5 surcharge, right? 413,000.
So, yeah, obviously the,
I mean, $5.
if you transfer more in, we can reduce the percentage. What would you like to see?
I think the usage increase, though, is the one that's gonna be the best for the, fixed income people.
I mean,
The less increased percentage? Me
Well,
too, I mean.
Yeah, but just an increased
dollar-
percentage.
Dollar,
Yeah, dollar amount.
yeah.
So I think if we're looking at making a transfer from the water fund, it might not hurt to check the water fund to make sure that's not gonna put us in a.
yeah, and we've
difficult
got the
position.
water fund on the same thing, so I'd go back to the water fund and put that
Yes.
in and rerun the water at the same time before we agreed to do anything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And have you run it with the 300 in it? Pete,
What's that?
did you run it with the 300 in it?
Yeah, that's what this was with the 300,000.
I mean, you ran the water, well, though with the 300? Or no?
Have I run the water? I didn't pull the water up,
Okay.
but
I'm
I can
thinking-
show that to you and send you that.
But I think that probably would work.
We can handle it.
Yeah, I was thinking there's room, I mean, that it,
Yeah.
Alicia, internally, when does this need to be adopted in order for them to set up the proper procedures and billing?
We haven't adopted, rates for the same reason. We're waiting until a decision's made. So as soon as we make the decision, we'll put it and adopt it in resolution. So like Pete said, January would be, sometime in January would be the best bet.
Okay.
And I believe we also have to address the ordinance for wastewater rates because it specifically has rates listed in that ordinance as well as our fee schedule.
Right, so we'd have to amend the ordinance and list out the rates. It doesn't just refer back to Exhibit C.
No, there's two for that, two ordinances, so we'll have to rescind those, redo that,
Right.
and then redo the fee schedule.
So maybe think about it, get them some more information in the first meeting in January. We can have it as an item of discussion, then have the ordinances redrafted for the second meeting in January. I mean, unless you guys want to make an action tonight on it and give direction to the staff on how to proceed, but.
Yeah, if it would help if I had, direction of, like, you want to do transfer for sure, and then just a percentage and no charge, dollar charge, then I can work on various combinations of that. Or
Do you want that?
what would
just
you
as
like
a-
to see, or where are you leaning toward, I guess is what
Do
I'm
you
asking.
want that just as a consensus, Lynn, then, or?
I think that's fine, just a consensus on,
I mean,
if you
what
wanna do a
direction to-
transfer, if you wanna just do a straight percentage increase.
I'm okay with the 300,000 fund transfer. And I'm also okay with doing the straight fee and keeping the percentage increase as to the minimum. But,
Did you include, so you're saying okay to the water charge too? Or,
yeah, the $10 charge.
okay.
I mean, I would like to see if we could tweak that somehow to make it more fair to the different customers, but the 300,000 fund transfer, I'm okay with. I don't think we can put it all on the people and the percent, and the price increase.
What's everybody else think about that 300,000? Is there kind of a consensus, you guys are okay with
Yeah.
doing something like that? to try to
Yeah.
reduce rates
300
to-
or,
Yeah,
I mean, you could go, for the first 2 years, you bumped up a little higher since that's what's really hitting us, is the
Yeah,
first
we
2
don't have to
years.
stay consistent. I'll
Yeah.
pull up the water rates as well and show you what that does
Yeah,
to those.
Right.
but, I mean, we pump the 500,000 for the first 2 years, that may give us that slope we need to come back down.
What do the rest of you think about having any kind of a fee or just a percent increase?
I'd prefer not to add the flat fee and just do a transfer and an increase.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I don't know that you can get it done without raising the rates, multiple years by,
No, no matter what we
10+%.
did, you had to raise it more than 1 year.
yeah, no, I get that, but what I'm saying is, you're looking at, without the fee, without the flat fee, and it doesn't have to be 10, maybe it can be 5, maybe it can be something less, but, that seems to be, that seems to help that a lot.
Would you like me to look at that flat fee of $5 or less? And look at the percentage that would do and run various scenarios that way?
Well, one of the things we're not taking into consideration is, for the large customer, maybe that 18% is big, but that $5 fee on someone paying $40, that's a 13% increase
Yeah.
that we're not
On top of.
on
another
top of
percent.
whatever increase we
That's
do.
true.
I don't wanna double,
And
I don't
that's
wanna,
who
And I
we're
get what
looking
you're
at.
coming from.
I don't wanna see a double compounded, fee in there, let's put a fee on it and a percentage.
Yeah.
Right, because 20% on someone paying 40, it's gonna be $8. Now, someone who's paying 400, that's gonna be $80, so. But usually someone paying 400 can afford it. Right, Ron? So, I feel like the percentage is the better route, and we'll just subsidize it with transfers while we can.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that,
Yeah,
I like the
Chris's
option.
idea, I'm not
having
opposed to
options.
looking at
More
a couple of years of actually,
Moving 500,000 over and
and Jose will really be upset then, but.
Yeah,
Well,
I
the
mean, I
other
don't
thing
know
is,
when-
we can also look at, water rates right now just go up at 3%. You may have to do a couple of years where you bump it to 4%. It's not a huge increase on the water, but it may be all you
The
need.
combination, that way we can not take, that, fund transfer, then if we can increase that, we wouldn't be damaging that account as much. If you increase that. So, I'm gonna ask this question because I don't know the answer. The meeting we had at the Blue Bonnet about all the different, water pipelines that were too small or whatever. So are those projects, have we already,
Yeah, those projects are all into the state. The state just got that back to us. They had them for several months. So they're all back into the state again. So we're hoping that we can turn around and bid that 1st of January. And looking at getting bids back then in February, and we can start working more.
and does that affect the amount in the water fund then?
Yeah, we have that
Yeah, we have that accounted for
incorporated
also?
into that already, as
Okay.
far as payments.
That's what I was
Well,
Yes.
yeah, and I was thinking the same thing, Ron, is
Yeah.
that, you know, we've made some improvements in the water infrastructure, that have already been addressed. So
Yeah,
maybe
so-
that,
And I'll bring back, next time the water rates as well and show you that.
okay,
That's all in there, and then what the fund transfer does to the water
okay,
thing, so you can see what's happening in both funds.
yeah. That'd be good.
Okay.
Anything else?
I-
When is the next meeting then that you wanna,
First one in
First
January.
one in January.
which is
January 9th.
January 9th? Okay. I didn't know what your schedule was after the first of the year.
I just
Sounds
know
good.
customers will see a $10 fee on their bill way faster and go, ooh, what the heck
Yeah.
is this, more than a few extra
Yeah.
dollars on the bill.
Yeah.
And for people that are still being elected after this year, that might be an issue.
Okay,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 9, city staff.
Commissioners, just wanted to update you on events we have going on. Tomorrow, the 13th, we have our year-end bowling activity for employees. It's at Billy's Air Lane from 2:30 to 4:30. On Thursday, December 14th, this Thursday, we have our employee breakfast from 8 to 10 at the Bluebonnet Community Building
What day?
on Thursday, the 14th.
So we're
7:30?
invited?
You are invited to the
Okay.
breakfast, and if you'd like to join us for bowling, you can join us. You will get a soda, pop, whatever you call it, and some popcorn. So we're supplying that.
Ribeye?
And then December 26th, and just a reminder, we will have our meeting by Zoom. And I just wanted to make sure, Tim has created the link, I will send that out to you. Is everyone comfortable with joining a Zoom meeting, or do we need to make other arrangements? Does anyone need us to meet here? I don't know everyone's plans, so some people will be out of town and joining from wherever they're at. But I wanted to make sure the commission is comfortable with joining a Zoom meeting. You can either do video, and you don't have to be on camera, or you can call in. So it's one of those, what can Tim and I do to help you? And he's back there.
We just need the link.
Okay, so everyone is comfortable with just the link and joining in wherever they're at? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It's on now. I just got a couple of things. I don't know if you've been by Bluebonnet Park or Mahron Park and seen the new playground equipment. It's pretty impressive. And the parks guys got all the mulch, everything done. You need to go by and look at them. It's a pretty big asset to the community. I'll give you an update on General Welch. You know, when we did the General Welch improvements, there was X amount of dollars in there because we don't know what we're getting into till we get it. So we did have a roughly $24,000 change order for subsurface that had to be removed, put Oklahoma, he calls it AB2, Oklahoma road gravel in. And it was actually in the quote, like $3,000 per 650 square foot. Well, we ended up doing the whole areas. So it come out about 24,000 higher than anticipated, but we kind of knew that was gonna be there. And everything going right, it should be open Friday. And it's really nice. Get a chance to drive down it. The last thing, I, as a director, want to thank all my departments for the year that they've worked their tails off for us, and just let them know that we're going to do it again next year. So, we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, and that's it.
Okay. Any other city staff? Please, chief.
Good evening. I just want to take this opportunity to share a bit of good news with you. In some respects, seems like a long time ago, in some respects, a couple of weeks, but we took delivery of our new ladder truck yesterday. Drove into town about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. It's labeled as Tower 11. Speak with you later about that, about why we named it that. It's currently at South Fire Station. If we needed to use it today, we could, but it's going to be probably 2 to 3 weeks before we get it outfitted with all the equipment, which we also bought throughout the year to have it on hand. And so it's ready to fight fire if we needed it. And then we'll get formal training in the 1st of January from Rosenbauer. They'll send a rep out, train us on all the maintenance and use and everything. But happy to have it here. It's quite a machine compared to our 1995 ladder truck. I knew it was going to be different, but I didn't realize the technological upgrades that this truck has. And with that said, I want to thank you, city manager, for stepping up and making this purchase. It's going to carry the city at least 25 to 30 years into the future with our aerial platform firefighting capability. Just want to share that with you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other city staff? See none, we'll move on to item number 10, the city manager's report. No one's going to do that one for him, right? Okay, he's out today. So moving on to item number 11, items from commissioners. Who wants to start?
I just have to say, thanks to all the staff. I mean, you can tell by the people that were given awards for their years of service that once you become a city employee, you kind of stay as a city employee. I'd also like to thank everybody that's supported me over the last 4 years. And hopefully next year, everything goes just as good as it has been. That's it.
This has always been my favorite meeting of the year, you know, back from when I was on staff, but to show years of service that the staff, you know, has put in 10+ years. It's just phenomenal. And thank you guys, not just the ones getting awards today, but for your, I mean, it takes a certain kind of dedication, a certain kind of person to do that, and appreciate everything that you guys do. Just want to let you know that. And have a Merry Christmas, since we won't be meeting tonight.
My turn?
Sure.
I'm gonna go ahead and echo those guys, because it is important that we do really appreciate all of the employees. Some of them may not have reached that milestone yet, but we appreciate all of them, but we congratulate those that have reached those milestones this year. And it does say something, like you said, that to see so many of them here for so many years, that we always hope that we provide some good jobs, and I think there are some good jobs in this, working for the city, and hopefully it continues to be that way, and we want to congratulate them and thank every one of them for that, for doing that and sticking with it, and all the others that are going to reach their milestones as they come up, and we really do appreciate that. And same thing, wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I guess the Zoom will be the day after Christmas, right? So we might not see some of you before then. So wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and enjoyed serving with you, Chris. I guess it's been 4 years, hasn't it?
Long enough. You put up with me this long.
I'm sorry I made you feel like you had to quit, but that's all I have.
I don't have a lot to say today just because I'm still under recovery. But I do want to thank all of the employees for all of their years of service and all of their hard work. Happy holidays to everybody. And then I also want to thank Chris for all of your years of hard work, especially for your leadership during the pandemic. I know you guys had extra meetings and had a lot going on that year. And happy holidays.
He's infected.
I'm not sick. I'm just.
He was talking about.
I was like, I'm just under recovery.
I think I'm out of the sick part.
Okay.
I no promises. Want to just thank everyone again. Like I said, the people that matter are the ones we saw today, and all the other ones that have not been able to come up. I've done this for 2 years now, so I've got to see those 10-year plus for 2 employees. Luckily, I get to be here for at least another 4, so I get to see the rest that are going through that process. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who does everything that is required to take care of the citizens of this town and the many years of service that everyone puts into it. It looks like Chris, much like Chris said, once you're an employee, you kind of stay that way, and I hope we continue to create an atmosphere that makes you comfortable remaining as an employee of the city. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year's. That's all I got. We're gonna go to the vouchers.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the vouchers for $463,055.97.
Second?
I have a motion by Commissioner Lindbroker and a second by Vice Mayor Parsons. Any further discussion? Seeing none, cast your vote.
Still waiting on 2.
I didn't get it, so I'm a yes.
Me too. It ain't give me the option.
Motion passes 5-0. And I think Jeff last year made a point that the vouchers were less than $1 million. I think these vouchers were less than that, so under my guidance, we did a little better than last year, so.
It's all you, Jose.
There we go.
Means Jose's buying dinner.
That's what's gonna happen. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
I forgot to tell you.